Good morning. Today is Monday, January 1st, 2024. Today is also the 20th day of the Jewish month of Teves. Ricky is observing Yartzeit for her father, Yosef Hillel ben Mordechai Fischel. May his neshama have an aliyah. And also today is the Yartzeit of the Rambam, Maimonides. So it's a very special day, both in physical terms as well as in spiritual terms, and we hope that our learning will help the neshama will have an aliyah. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks directs our attention to a very special woman in this week's Torah portion, the Parsha Shemot, beginning the book of Shemot, the book of Exodus. This woman is one of the most unexpected heroes of the Torah. And yet without her, Moshe might not have even lived. The whole story of Exodus would have been different. And she was not a Jewish woman. And in fact, she had nothing to gain from what she did and everything to lose by what she did. I'm referring to the daughter of Paro. Paro was the one who did the most disastrous decrees against the Jews. And it's his own daughter, the daughter of Paro, who, to a large extent, saved the Jewish people. We have the narrative near the beginning of our parsha. Paro had decreed that every male child, Nebuch, should be killed. Only the baby girls would survive. And somehow Yocheved and Amram had a baby, and they were able, a baby boy, Moshe, and they were able to keep this baby secret. And at a certain point, they could no longer keep him secret, and they sent him in a basket into the river. And his sister, Miriam, would be watching from the side to watch out for him, but the baby is in the basket. Vatasev achoso merachok l'deya ma yaseh. Miriam, his sister, was watching from afar to see what would happen to him. Vatered bas Paro lilchotz al ya'ar. The daughter of Paro came down to the bank of the river to bathe. V'naroseh holchos al yad hayar. And her maid servants were with her. She was accompanied by an entourage. Vatera seteva b'soch hasuf. She sees the basket among the reeds of the river. Vatishlach es amosa vatikocheha. And she sends her maidservant to bring her this basket. It's unusual. What is a basket doing in the middle of the river? Vatiftach vatirehu es hayeled. She opens the basket and she sees there's a baby boy. V'hinei nar boche. And the baby boy is crying. We know he's called Moshe. He's crying. Vatachmal olav. And she has compassion on him. She has mercy for him. Vatomer, and she says, Mialdehu ivri imzeh. This baby is clearly a Jewish baby. Because why else would somebody put a baby in a basket, a baby boy in a basket? Clearly it's because of the decree. Clearly this baby was born in violation of the decree. And once the baby started to make noise, the family had to send him away to try to save his life. And she had mercy on him. So I want to point out the sequence of events just in those lines that we read. First, she sees that it's a child, vatachmal olav, and she has compassion on it. That's a natural human compassion. You see a baby suffering, you want to help the baby. But then it dawns on her who this baby must be. Who else would abandon a baby boy in a basket in the Nile? And she remembers her father's decree against the Jewish people for all baby boys. And in an instant, the situation is changed. Because originally, to save the baby, to help the baby, is just an act of compassion. But now, all of a sudden, to help this baby is to disobey her own father's royal decree. Because her father had decreed that this baby boy, like all the others, should be killed. So now for the daughter of Paro to do something to help this baby is an act of rebellion against her father. And as serious as it must be for any person to defy Paro's decree, can you imagine what Paro would do if he were to find out that his own daughter was defying his decree? And keep in mind that she's not alone. It's not like she could do something to help this baby and nobody would know about it. There were other maidservants there. The possibility of someone talking about it, spreading rumors, was certainly a reality. And what the daughter of Paro did would be obvious. She was actively going to help a Jewish baby boy. And yet, she does not change her mind. She doesn't tell one of her servants, take the baby and hide it far away from the family. The daughter of Paro has the courage of her compassion, because sometimes compassion requires courage. To have compassion sometimes requires heroism. It sometimes requires putting yourself at risk. And then, the most extraordinary detail of the story. So, remember, Miriam is watching by the side, and when Miriam sees that the daughter of Paro has taken his baby, Miriam comes over and says, well, you know, the baby has to nurse, and I can arrange for the baby to nurse. Meaning she was going to arrange that the baby would nurse with the baby's own mother, Yocheved, not giving any of the names. And the daughter of Paro said, yes, that's a great plan. You'll take care of the nursing of the baby. Vayigdal hayeled, and the baby grew up at least till the age that it was past nursing, maybe 2-3 years old. Vatvieu lebas Paro. And Miriam brought the baby back to the daughter of Paro. Vayihila lebain. And the baby was adopted by the daughter of Paro as her own son. So this wasn't just a moment's compassion. She had not forgotten the child. And the passage of the time since she had picked him out of the water had not diminished her sense of responsibility. And not only does she remain committed to his welfare, but she chooses the most dangerous plan. I mean, she could easily have come up with some plan where someone else would raise this baby. But she takes the baby in and adopts the baby as her own. But the most surprising detail comes in the last sentence. Vatikra Shmo Moshe, and she called his name Moshe. Vatomer, as she said, Kimin Hamayim Mishi Sihu, from the water I drew him. I took him out of the water. Ki min hamayim ishisu. Normally in the Torah, it is a baby's parents who give the name to the baby. Sometimes in the Torah, it's God himself who gives a name to a child. But how is it possible? Do we realize how unusual this is? That the name that we know this person by, the most famous prophet, the most famous leader, the person whose name is mentioned more frequently than any other. Now, his parents had to have given him a name. It certainly was not Moshe. During the time that his mother, Yocheved, was nursing him, they called him something, and it wasn't Moshe. And yet, this most famous prophet, this most famous leader, is known to us not by the name that his own parents gave him, but by the name that the daughter of Paro gave him. And there's a Midrash that makes this connection. The Midrash says as follows: this is the reward for those who do kindness. Although Moshe had many names, the only one of which presumably is the name that his parents gave him, the only one by which he is known in the entire Torah is the one given to him by the daughter of Paro. Even God, blessed be he, does not call Moshe by any other name. Wow. We don't have an example of this anywhere else in the Torah. It's astounding. So who was the daughter of Paro? Well, the Torah does not tell us her name. All we know is that she was the daughter of Paro. However, if we look later in Nach, in the book of Chronicles, Divrei Hayamim, there it mentions that Paro had a daughter whose name was Batya. Some pronounce it Bitya, most pronounce it Batya. Batya, Bat-ka, Batya means the daughter of God. How did the daughter of Paro get a name like Batya, which means the daughter of God? So listen to what our rabbis say in the Midrash. When the Holy One, blessed be he, said to her, Moshe was not your son, yet you called him your son. You adopted him, you raised him, even though it was dangerous for you. God says, you are not my daughter, meaning you are not part of the Jewish people, but I shall call you my daughter, Batya, the daughter of God. Rabbi Sacks concludes with a crucial lesson for us at all times, but today I think it is especially acute that we pay attention to this. Rabbi Sacks says, imagine instead of Paro's daughter, read Hitler's daughter, or Stalin's daughter, or I would add Sinwar's daughter, because they're all in the same category in their hatred of the Jewish people and in their destructiveness against the Jewish people. But Rabbi Sacks says tyranny cannot destroy humanity. Moral courage can sometimes be found in the heart of darkness. And the Torah tells the story this way because it has enormous consequences. There are enormous implications from this. It means that when we come upon a person or a group, we must never generalize, or stereotype. The Egyptians, who did so many terrible things against us, they were not all evil. Even from Paro himself, there was born a hero to the Jewish people. And that means that we are required to recognize virtue wherever we find it, even among our enemies. And that also teaches us that the basic core of human values, compassion, courage, is truly universal in the sense that it can be found anywhere. Holiness may not be universal. Goodness is. And it can be found in even the most unlikely place, in the deepest depth of darkness. During a time when enemies surround us, and many of those we thought of as friends celebrate our defeat. Since October 7th, I have heard from many people, including Muslims, people from Iran, people who are Arab, who are steadfast in their friendship and support of the Jewish people and the state of Israel. Now, I can't tell you if it's 1 in 10, 1 in 1,000, or 1 in 10 million. But there are Batyas today. Even today, there are Batyas. And we must recognize and thank them, because without Batya, who or where would we be today? My friends, I wish you a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.